Hey guys, how you doing? It's Tom. I'm back with another video. I couldn't think of what to make a video on this one. I'm just gonna sort of talk about maybe a few different things. I was, you know, I can't always be cranking out money videos. I know that's what a lot of people seem to want to watch. Guys that are getting ready to come here. They want to know about the budgets and stuff like that. Um, And obviously, I guess I could touch on that, but just to make a kind of a general statements. But listen, if you're gonna visit or come here to live in a smaller city, okay, or even a provincial area, okay, like let's say you already have a girlfriend, okay, like before I came here, I never really came here. I've been here like, well, this is the sixth time, and now I'm living here, right? I've been living here since June of last year. But I've actually, to be honest, I've never come here and just like without meeting a woman or whatever. In other words, without being with a woman. Like just come here single. You know what I mean? Like I never really came here single and just kind of checked out the area by myself or whatever. I never did that. You know. There was the first two times I came here, it was the same woman actually, but there was a kind of a time difference in between the two trips. But that didn't work out. Okay, that's all I'll say. Things sometimes just don't work out, right? And I'm glad I found out that it wasn't going to work before we got married or whatever, or did something more sort of a permanent, move, right? But then I met Amy, and that was obviously that was a great day for me, you know. And it was funny because it was only a couple of months. Well, I think I'd been back I'd been back for about almost 5 months, I think, right, from the second trip, which was pretty bad, with the other lady. And it just didn't work out, and it was very awkward. You know what I mean? It wasn't like there was any one horrific thing that happened or whatever, but it was just really awkward, man. Because we knew it wasn't working. Like within the first week or whatever, by the end of the first week, and then here we were. We still did stuff, sort of together, But it was kind of weird. But anyway. So I came back from that trip and I was very disenchanted, right? I was just like, I think I even made some videos just for myself. I never posted them, just made them. They're in a folder somewhere, but they're not on YouTube or anything. And I was just kind of wanted to vent or whatever, so I just was making a video, and and I was sort of negative, about things and that. And then I met Amy online, and it just was kind of whatever. It was just freak luck or whatever. We had both been on this site, I think, for like only about a week or less, and we met. You know what I mean? And then we just started chatting, and basically, once you get into those sites, then you want to say, okay, now let's communicate, let's get off the site. You know what I mean? And then just communicate like via Messenger or Skype or WhatsApp or whatever, right? Then you can just video chat and stuff like that. And it was a free site, by the way. The initial site that we met on, it was a free, it wasn't like a pay for site, And so it was kind of lucky, right? Because those free sites, you could go through a lot of people before you meet the right one. You know what I mean? Like, so we just, I don't know. I consider myself getting very lucky there when I met her, But then obviously, so then the next three trips, I was with, Amy. I don't think, well, I never had her meet me at the airport, but she would meet me at the place that we're staying at first, you know what I mean? Like, and it was pretty much always Manila. We always started out in Manila, and that's kind of in the area where she lived, you know what I mean? In Rizal. So, she would just meet me at the hotel, uh, and that, you know what I mean? So, but I know that guys come here just by themselves, and that's fine, man. I mean, that's great. If you can do that and sort of navigate your way around, and then maybe get lucky also to meet a nice lady or whatever, man, that's great. But it's just not my experience. It's just not the way I did it. You know what I mean? So I don't know. I just wanted to bring on touch on that because there's a distinct difference. You know what I mean? And I don't know whether it's good or bad. A lot of guys will say, hey, you really should just go to the Philippines first. You know what I mean? And then meet somebody, or you know what I mean, like see, feel it out, see if you like the country and stuff like that. And yeah, that's good advice. That's not bad advice. But anyway, yeah, it's just not the way I did it. But I mean, I got lucky, like I said. But I had to, those first two trips. You know what I mean? Sometimes you gotta pay the piper a little bit before you get a good break in life. Sometimes you gotta take a couple smacks to the head, so to speak. Not literally, but you know what I mean, figuratively, right? Before before the sun shines on you brightly, in a good way, and then maybe something good happens later. It's almost like adversity, right? Sometimes breeds success, if you know how to handle the adversity, right? If you handle it properly, then what do they say? I'm not a real religious guy, right? But the one thing that always stands out is when the old phrase, God helps those who help themselves, right? And that doesn't mean, help themselves to everything in the world, and just steal stuff. That means help themselves, like do things on their own and sort of, you know what I mean? Go through life and really try to, put out the effort. You know what I mean? Don't just, first time something bad happens to you, then you're just like, oh, please, God, help me and all that. I know, sometimes when something really bad happens, people do that. They'll pray and all that. There's nothing wrong with that, But like I said, that's the one thing that sticks in my head. Whenever I think of religion, and God, that's what I think of. So in other words, if you put in the work, and you do good for yourself and for other people, right? If you're in a position to do good for other people, man, do it. It makes you feel good, and and you're more likely to have the sun will shine on you in a good way. You know what I mean? Like, good things could happen to you. You know what I mean? When you do good things, right? So that's kind of how I look at life. I guess I'm more spiritual than I am religious. But anyway, speaking of sunshine, I tell you what, man, it is summer in the Philippines. If there's no mistaking the seasons now. I've never been here this time of year, right? Previous to coming here to live, I've never been here at this time of year. And I've only been here previously in December, like on my visits, right? When I just came here to visit. December, January, and June. Okay? And June, I remember, was hot, and it wasn't that rainy, So to me, rainy season really starts in July, in my experience, especially since I just went through it. June is not really, there's some rain, but maybe more than there is like in March or April, but it's really not the rainy season yet, in my opinion. But now, man, oh my God. And you know what's interesting this year? A lot of times December and January are very nice. Oop, sorry. I got my webcam. It's like on my monitor. Sorry, guys. But when I've been here before in December and January, it's really warm. Like in other words, I mean, it's not like ultra hot. It's like really nice. It's almost like Hawaiian weather. It's like 80, 85 degrees. Sunny, and all that. But this year, this last December and even January, very cool and wet. Man, Christmas was just very wet. I mean, a whole week it rained. Christmas week it rained, man. I mean, we were in Porto Galera, which is south of here, northern Mindoro, basically south of Luzon, or south of Manila, and it rained, man, big time, and it was cool. It wasn't like hot rain, it wasn't like July or whatever, like where the rainy season, but it's still hot, but then you get rain all of a sudden. It wasn't like that, man. It was weird. I mean, it felt like it was below 70 degrees during the day, which is very unusual. Almost anywhere in the Philippines, aside from northern Luzon, that not unusual there, right? If you're in, sort of like the northern half, of Luzon. But yeah, very cool. And you know what? It really didn't start getting February. It started getting like, oh, okay, this is like what I used to experience more in like January or December. It happened like in February, and then now, man, March. And we're toward the end of March now, but yeah, it's hot and dry. There's very little rain, and it's like freaking 90 degrees, 95 degrees. But it doesn't. I don't know. It's weird. I mean, the sun is intense, right? So be careful when you're in the direct sunlight. Wear sunblock. If you're light skinned and everything, right? Like me. But for some reason it doesn't always feel that bad. You sweat and stuff, but you know what I mean? It's like I'm not gonna say it's a dry heat either. I mean, there is some humidity, but it doesn't feel like it's 80-90% humidity. It just feels like it's maybe 60%, or something like that. But I tell you what, man, if you want to lose weight, a lot of guys say, oh, first 6 months I was there in the Philippines, I lost 20 pounds. I've heard a lot of other vloggers say that, That wasn't really I maintained my weight, and I had already lost weight in the U.S., because I had gained a bunch of weight during the pandemic, during that first year of the pandemic. And then that second year, I was like, so I went on like an intermittent fasting diet, big time, and then just sort of, continued my exercise, like walking and stuff like that, and cut my carbohydrates, right? That's also important, if you want to lose weight, right? And I lost right now, if I go by my weight now to my weight what it was, I think I'm down 24 pounds from the peak, and that was the highest weight that I had ever been at in my life. I mean, that was like 5 pounds more than I'd ever been in my life, So, but anyway, so now but you know what? I see myself now, I'm starting to lose a little bit, you know what I mean? And I'm walking a lot, and I'm doing exercising every day. I'm stretching and stuff like that, right? Like, stretching is really important, especially for your back. I have targeted back exercises and some strengthening, almost like yoga type exercises for the abdomen area and all that, like the front part of your, I don't know if that's part of your core or whatever, but obviously there's the lower back, right? And then the front part of the lower back is like your abdomen and your hips and all that stuff, right? Well, those muscles are important too, right? So I'm doing all that almost every day. I mean, yesterday I took one day off. Amy was like, oh, you can take one day out, it's Sunday, yesterday was Sunday here. And I walked, though. I mean, I did quite a bit of walking, overall, like all day, and like at least 3 miles. I usually walk about 3 miles a day, so it might have been even a little bit more than that, but whatever. But I certainly didn't skip any of my walking, And I did my. It's also important to do the stretching exercises, like just the basic ones that you might do before you go for a long walk. Like your calf stretches, hamstring stretches, and then I do these like toe touch things, which is just targets the middle lower back muscles, right? You're just stretching them, right? So I usually do that for 5 minutes, approximately, right, before I walk, twice a day. And then toward the end of the day, like usually around, I don't know, 6 o'clock or six, something like that, 6:30, 6:15, whatever. I'll do all that yoga stuff that I mentioned. The kind of like there's like 6 different kind of strengthening and stretching exercises that target the lower back but also the upper for strengthening. There's kind of a push-up type thing where you just stay in position like that, like a push-up position for as long as you can do it, you know. But then there's other abdomen muscle strengthening exercises and stuff like that, and it works, man. I mean, because I had a bunch of compressed discs in a couple of vertebrae in my back, the lower ones, and some guys will like just, I don't know, like some doctors will sort of tell you, they'll try and push you to have surgery because they want to make some money. I hate to say it, and that's in the U.S. too. By the way, I'm not just talking about any one area, but I mean, I'm just saying, there's different kinds of doctors in this world, okay, and some of them will push pills at you, like real easily, like that's the first thing they go to, and then others might push surgery, boom, again, and then others are like real doctors, that are like, hey, preventative, and like, hey, you should do physical therapy instead of surgery. And that's what my doctor here in the Philippines said. And he's a surgeon, by the way, orthopedic. And he looked at the MRI and everything, and he said, well, you got this and this, and he explained everything, and he said, you can do this or this. He says, I recommend you do physical therapy, for like a month or so. And basically that gets you started on the things that you need to do on your own. You do physical therapy, and then when you're done with that, they're like, yeah, okay, if you feel pretty good, then you don't need to come anymore. But continue to do these things every day if you can, at least 5 days a week, So that's what I do, I just keep, I keep doing it. I do it almost 7 days a week, and it makes a huge difference, man. Like it really does. And how you feel and stuff, And I just recently, within the last month, kind of added what I used to do back in Chicago when I would walk, is, the hamstring and calf stretching, because that's stuff that's not really part of my main regimen of like that yoga type stuff. So I do that right before I walk, and that helps too, man. That just it adds to it, But keeping limber, keeping your muscles loose and stuff, is very important, man. Especially when you get older, because you can just knot up and stuff. You're just a bunch of muscles, right? Muscle, bone, skin. That's all we are. Blood. You gotta take care of all that crap. You know what I mean? Like, keep the muscles limber. Keep strong. Keep the bones strong as possible. Keep your blood as pure as as you can, or you know what I mean. Like, just don't throw crap inside of you, that's gonna like make your blood bad, you know what I mean? Like, no, we're like machines, man, we're not that different, Vehicles, cars, you gotta change your oil every now and then, you gotta keep tuned up your vehicles and all that. Humans aren't that much different. We got brains. That's what separates us, Cars have computers, which is their brain, right? But if you look at it that way, right? I mean, it sounds real basic, and some of you might be thinking, it sounds like stupid or something, right? But if you look at it that way, look at your body that way, it's kind of easy to come to the conclusion that, yeah, I should take care of this machine, right? But anyway, I'm just babbling about a bunch of things here. I don't know. I didn't really have it. Like I said, I didn't have any specific. I heard another vlogger say something very interesting. And he said, sometimes with you have to be careful here. In the Philippines, right? Like, they have like what is it called? Cyber libel laws and stuff like that. Like, you can't. I mean, and the way it's perceived, at least by people, by everybody, or by a lot of people, is that, you can't say anything negative, or whatever, right, about I guess, a person or an organization or whatever. And well, and I don't know if that was the intent. You know, I think that the intent of the law is to prevent what seems to be happening in the U.S. is like cyberbullying and stuff like that. Happens with younger people a lot, from what I hear, right? Because I don't have any kids, so I mean, I'm sure I mentioned that before, but I don't have any kids, so I just know about what I hear about, what I read about, and stuff like that, right? And I'm thinking that these laws in the Philippines are basically, they're trying to prevent bullying and stuff like that, right? Like over the internet and stuff like that, electronic media, social media, right? So but to me, I just don't want to be like, one of the things that was said was that some of the vloggers over here, and I see what he was talking about too. I mean, it's almost like he was saying that they're almost kind of like forced to sort of, I don't want to say lie, but you know what I mean? Like you're sort of leaving things out, and you're just painting such a pretty picture of everything all the time. You know what I mean? Because you don't want to be, in that, you don't want to get in trouble or something. And it's like, I mean, there's ways to talk about things, right? I mean, you know what I mean? Like you don't want to be crude, and if you're gonna say something that's sort of less than flattering or whatever about anything, there's very subtle ways to do it. I mean, you don't have to, like, to me, it's like, I don't know, I just hope I'm not one of those guys who's sort of misleading or lying about the Philippines or about anything else that I've talked about. You know what I mean? But I mean, there's ways to do it, like I said, in a subtle, respectful way, because once you understand, there's cultural differences in every country. Okay, everybody's not like the U.S. or whatever Western country you're from, right? Like every other country, especially in Asia, it's not going to be just like your country at all. There's different cultures, different customs, okay, and stuff like that. And once you understand that, then you can explain things, the differences, and it's not always going to be perceived as negative or whatever, but it's the truth. You know what I mean? It's it's just like, hey, be cognizant of these things. Like you're in a different country now. You know what I mean? So I don't know. That's kind of what I hope to do whenever any videos I've done up till now. I mean, that's what I hope to do. Just kind of just show the reality and let people know what's going on, and stuff like that, and why things are the way they are. Yeah, that's about it for this one, man. I've got another channel that I'm gonna do, and it's got really nothing to do with travel, okay, or Philippines per se, but I'm not gonna share it. I haven't really. I started it, but I haven't put anything on it yet. But I'm going to. I've got ideas for stuff that interests me, that I want to put on there. But I don't know if you guys will be interested. You know what I mean? I just kind of want to wait to see what happens with it. Like if it's somewhat half a success, or half as successful as I hope it to be, right? Then maybe I'll share it with you guys or whatever. But I will tell you, like, in this one thing I know. I don't know a hell of a lot about YouTube, right? I mean, I'm not like an expert or anything, but from what I understand, you can't put like the same video on two of your channels. So in other words, if you have 2, 3, 4 channels, different channels, which you can have on YouTube, you don't just have one person can only have one channel. You can have multiple channels, right? But you can't put one video on more than one channel at the same time. You know what I mean? You can only, like, if you have it on one channel and maybe it's not getting action or something, then you have to take it off that channel, and then you can put it on another channel if you want, so. Anyway, guys, that's about it. I don't want to babble on too long. This is kind of twice as long as a lot of my informational videos, but I don't know, I just thought I'd just talk about some different stuff, you know what I mean? Like, not the usual, So, I could probably talk a little bit, maybe in another video, about where I'm at. This northern Manila area or northern Quezon City area and stuff like that, and maybe even a little bit about more about my background. I probably touched on it, but I don't know if I've really talked about it that much. You know what I mean? Like, and I don't necessarily. I could go back to your childhood and all that, but I mean, I just thought maybe the last 10 years or so of my life, just so you kind of know how I got here and stuff. Like what, So, all right, guys, that's it, man. I'll talk to you guys later. I hope you have a great day, and I would appreciate if you, if you like it, hit that like button, comment, subscribe if you're not already subscribed. I appreciate it, man. All right, I'll talk to you guys later. Have a good day.